Hello, dear friends, fearfully and wonderfully made by our Creator. Welcome to another episode of the Holistic Counselor Podcast, your sanctuary for healing and growth. It's your guide, Diana, here from Through the Valley Therapy, and today's episode is a heartfelt exploration of BIPOC stress and resilience. Before we dive into today's topic, let me make one thing crystal clear. This is not about politics. It's a heartfelt conversation about something deeply meaningful to me. Lately, I've noticed a troubling pattern. Mention BIPOC or immigrants, and some folks lose their minds or become very defensive. They react emotionally instead of engaging in constructive dialogue. I've pondered this often, wondering why some feel blamed for a history they didn't personally shape. White guilt is real, and so is white gaslighting. Being an ethnically ambiguous therapist who has studied psychology since 7th grade has afforded me to understand all perspectives on certain topics. I have had almost every kind of culture and religion sitting in front of me sharing their deepest wounds. So let me acknowledge that many white individuals carry burdens and family stories intertwined with immigration journeys or their socioeconomic despair. I get it. I've seen it. I've felt it. This episode isn't about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about fostering understanding, sharing my perspective and that of others who struggle to express themselves without causing offense. As a daughter of immigrants born in this country, I deeply appreciate the freedoms we enjoy in the USA. But I also have a lot of empathy for the unique traumas experienced by people of color who may not share the same deep roots as many white Americans. I've heard the dismissive remarks, urging us to get over it or insisting that everyone has equal opportunities. Yet, I've personally witnessed divisions within my communities, fueled by lack of education, past traumas, or even guilt. So, if discussing this topic stirs something within you, perhaps it's time to lean in and learn. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Perhaps what triggers us most about others reflects our own unresolved issues, fears, and insecurities." In a world where divisive rhetoric dominates, especially with elections looming, it's easy to get swept up in fear-based narratives spun by the media. But remember, fear sells. It keeps us divided, distracted, and fighting amongst ourselves. Let's not fall into that trap. Instead, let's stand united, remembering that our true strength lies in coming together for the greater good. Now, let's shift gears and dive into what it means to me to be a BIPOC therapist and the significance of that role. For those who may be new to the term, BIPOC stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. Essentially, it brings together a diverse range of minority communities. It is a term used to collectively refer to individuals from racial and ethnic backgrounds who have historically experienced systemic oppression, discrimination, and marginalization. In a mental health context, it's important to recognize that BIPOC individuals may face unique stressors related to their racial or ethnic identity, which can impact their mental well-being. So, we're going to now understand BIPOC stress the best we can. As a mental health counselor, understanding this concept and recognizing the unique mental health stressors faced by this population is essential for providing effective and culturally sensitive therapy. As a holistic counselor, I try my best to incorporate biology, psychology, and theology into the therapeutic process, as understanding an integrative approach can be a significant source of strength and resilience for many individuals within this community. So, as we recognize these BIPOC mental health stressors, I'm going to start with historical trauma. As a therapist, it is essential to recognize the historical traumas that affect our communities without triggering defensiveness or shutting down conversations. Historical trauma refers to deep-seated wounds passed down through generations due to past injustices like slavery, colonization, and systemic racism. For example, considering the enduring scars of the Native American genocide, which still manifests in issues like poverty and mental health challenges within Indigenous communities today. Similarly, the legacy of African American slavery casts a long shadow over Black communities, contributing to ongoing racial trauma and socioeconomic disparities. By acknowledging these historical realities without politicizing them, we can foster understanding and compassion, paving the way for healing and reconciliation. Understanding historical trauma is crucial for providing culturally sensitive and effective care as therapists. Through education and empathy, we can work towards addressing these injustices that continue to affect BIPOC communities today. Microaggressions and discrimination. BIPOC individuals often encounter microaggressions and discrimination in various aspects of their lives, which can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression. Recognizing and addressing these experiences is essential for effective therapy. In America, microaggressions and discrimination persist as subtle yet impactful challenges faced by marginalized communities. These can take various forms, such as insensitive remarks, dismissive attitudes, which I like to call gaslighting, or unequal treatment based on race, ethnicity, or other identities. For instance, a BIPOC individual may encounter microaggressions in everyday interactions, such as being stereotyped, overlooked for opportunities, or subjected to biased assumptions about their capabilities. These experiences, though seemingly small, can accumulate over time and contribute to feelings of marginalization and exclusion. Acknowledging and addressing these issues with empathy and understanding Acknowledging and addressing these issues with empathy and understanding is as important as recognizing their impact on individuals' well-being and sense of belonging. Even though I can tell you about hundreds of experienced microaggressions and discrimination, I often reflect on the story of Woody, a former colleague from my days in the film industry. We collaborated on a movie called Fight Within, where I witnessed his dedication and transformation firsthand. However, Woody's past came back to haunt him in a shocking way. His sister, an Army sergeant, was taken aback during her weapons training at a Florida gun range when she stumbled upon an old mugshot of Woody being used as a target. Despite his troubled teenage years and his rehabilitation, Woody found himself unfairly targeted once again. Upon further investigation, it came to light that the city's police sniper squad had been utilizing these mugshots. This discovery was not only deeply troubling, but also shed light on the systemic issues entrenched within law enforcement, perpetuating injustice and discrimination. While I deeply respect and appreciate law enforcement officers, their presence brings me a sense of safety and security. It's important to acknowledge the complexities. I want to emphasize that this discussion isn't about politics. Rather, it's about recognizing the ongoing journey toward justice and understanding. Woody's narrative serves as a reminder of the enduring struggles faced by individuals striving for redemption in a society often quick to pass judgment and condemnation. Reflecting on my personal experiences as a brown Latina, I've encountered numerous instances of microaggressions and discriminations that have left a lasting impact. One such experience occurred in 1992 when, as a 21-year-old, I was arrested in a small town in Florida alongside 3 white friends. The differential treatment I received from the police during that ordeal was profoundly traumatic. Additionally, post 9/11, while traveling with a white friend to a Mothers of Preschoolers convention in Missouri, I found myself repeatedly singled out for additional security checks and questioning at airport screenings. Even in my childhood growing up in New York, I endured harassment from a bully who targeted me with racial slurs and physical violence. Despite these challenges, my journey through therapy and education has allowed me to transcend the cycle of stereotyping and prejudice. Rather than falling into bitterness or resentment, these experiences have fueled my commitment to empathy and understanding. Today, as a therapist, I draw upon my journey to guide others in their quest for healing and self-discovery. Through therapy, individuals can confront the root causes of their anxieties, depression, or addictions, transforming personal struggles into sources of strength and resilience. I can share decades worth of stories like these, and I'm sure you can too. I just want to make sure you, the beautiful listener, understand that we have come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. The next stressor I would like to talk about is cultural and family factors. Within BIPOC communities, cultural norms, values, and family dynamics play a significant role in shaping mental health beliefs and practices. Recognizing and understanding these factors is crucial for providing culturally competent care that respects and honors individuals' cultural backgrounds. For example, in many Latinx families, there may be a strong emphasis on collectivism, family obligations, and traditional gender roles, which can influence how mental health issues are perceived and addressed. Moreover, intergenerational trauma stemming from experiences such as immigration, discrimination, or political unrest may impact family dynamics and coping mechanisms. By acknowledging and addressing these cultural and family factors, healthcare professionals can create a supportive and inclusive environment that meets the needs of these individuals. Let me share, once again, about my personal journey. A narrative shaped by the dance between cultural identity, family dynamics, and societal pressures. Raised by a resilient, single immigrant mother who chased the American dream, only to find herself thrust into single parenthood after my father's departure, I found myself straddling two distinct worlds from a tender age. At home, the richness of my Latinx heritage surrounded me, twisting together language, traditions, and spiritual beliefs passed down through generations. Yet beyond the complexity of my home, I encountered a different narrative, one dictated by societal norms that urge assimilation into a stereotypical American mold. You hear the way I speak, right? But let me tell you, it wasn't always like this. I worked tirelessly to blend in, to sound like what was expected of me. What some might call a white girl. Yes, I've been labeled a coconut and accused of betraying my roots. But through this journey, I've unearthed a profound understanding of my true self. As a second-generation immigrant, straddling these contrasting worlds often felt like an uphill battle, pulling me between the desire to honor my heritage and the pressure to conform. This internal struggle fostered a deep-seated need for validation and belonging, complicating my sense of identity along the way. It's through open communication and a deeper appreciation of the immigrant experience that we can extend empathy and support individuals like me, navigating the complicated road of cultural identity and mental well-being in a society as diverse as ours. Now I want to talk about spirituality and faith. Faith and spirituality often serves as lifelines for many of us in the BIPOC community, offering strength and guidance in the face of adversity. In therapy, discussing these topics can be incredibly grounding, providing a space to unpack our spiritual experiences and find comfort in our beliefs. Acknowledging the diverse religious backgrounds within our communities is crucial, as they can both shape our identities and impact our mental well-being. However, it's also important to recognize that the strictness of religious practices can become a cultural norm for some, leading to reluctance to discuss faith openly for fear of judgment or persecution. It also can be an extra layer of trauma raised in a dogmatic denomination or religion that is not accepted by mainstream American or white evangelical. Saying that again. It also can be an extra layer of trauma raised in a dogmatic denomination or religion that is not accepted by mainstream American or white evangelical Christianity. My journey with Jesus reflects this complex relationship with faith. Raised in the Catholic Church, I grew familiar with the image of a white Jesus on the cross, a symbol that was central to my religious upbringing. However, within the walls of my home, a different spiritual tradition thrived. Living at times with my paternal grandmother, who practiced Santeria, I was exposed to a world of beliefs and rituals that differed significantly from what I was experiencing in church, school, or what I saw on TV. This duality in my upbringing shaped my understanding of faith in profound ways, as I navigated between the doctrines of Catholicism and the mystical practices of Santeria. Today, as I reflect on my spiritual journey, I'm reminded of the richness and diversity within BIPOC communities. While my beliefs have evolved over time, the experiences of my upbringing continue to influence my perspective and understanding of faith. I now am a disciple of Jesus Christ. He is my rock and my savior, and I try my best to follow him through reading the living word daily, praying without ceasing, and putting on the armor. Through this faith, I stay focused and mindful of how I treat others. If you are a healthcare worker who wants to understand and help our community, then become culturally competent. Educate yourself on the cultural backgrounds, values, and experiences of the BIPOC community you serve. Understand the impact of systemic racism, historical trauma, and socioeconomic disparities on our mental health. Be trained in trauma-informed care. Approach therapy from a trauma-informed lens, not pathologizing and managing symptoms, but recognizing the prevalence of trauma within the BIPOC community. Create a safe, empowering therapeutic environment that validates their experiences and fosters healing. Educate yourself truly on what CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and ACEs are, adverse childhood experiences. These two subjects I will be dissecting in the future in another episode, so stay tuned. Address the stigma. Acknowledge and address the stigma surrounding mental health with the BIPOC community. Acknowledge and address the stigma surrounding mental health within the BIPOC community. Normalize conversations about mental health, challenge stereotypes, and promote help-seeking behavior through community outreach and education. Incorporate culturally relevant interventions. Crafting personalized therapeutic strategies that resonate with the cultural and linguistic nuances of BIPOC individuals is paramount. By infusing culturally relevant customs, ceremonies, and symbolic narratives into therapy sessions, we not only bolster engagement, but also enhance the efficacy of the interventions. Ensuring that individuals from the BIPOC community feel seen and represented within our own practice or business is essential. It's about creating space where they can recognize themselves, their experiences, and their heritage reflected in the services provided. This commitment to diversity and inclusivity extends beyond the therapy room. For example, through the mental wellness ministry at my church, we prioritize diversity in our speaker selection, ensuring a range of perspectives and voices are heard. Additionally, I strive to foster inclusivity in the questions curated for our discussions, ensuring that the topics addressed resonate with the diverse experiences within our community. This dedication stems from a deep-rooted passion for fostering mental well-being within BIPOC communities and advocating for their unique needs. Create collaboration and partnership with community organizations, leaders, and advocates to understand better the unique needs and strengths of the BIPOC community. Work together to develop culturally responsive programs and services that address mental health disparities. This should not be political at all. Let's get over the duopoly of thinking that the Democrats or the Republicans have the answers. In my opinion, they are on the same side, making false promises and becoming enthralled with power and money. Why we, the common folk, are struggling. Okay, sorry. Back to the already scheduled program. Anyway, start by unity at home. Start by creating a safe place at churches where we can talk about these things. Start by volunteering in your local community or cultural centers. Invite a BIPOC or immigrant family to your home to break bread, and vice versa if you are from the BIPOC community. Watch shows made by other cultures. Go visit a Haitian, Latin, Brazilian, Asian, or Black community or church without fear. If you are a Christian, truly understand the cultures the Bible was written in and disentangle what is biblical and what has been westernized, and that Jesus called us to be peacemakers, not just peacekeepers. Empowerment and advocacy. Empower BIPOC individuals to become advocates for their own mental health and well-being. Provide resources, tools, and support to help them navigate systemic barriers and advocate for equitable access to mental health services and resources in their communities. In the show notes, I will provide some. And the following are some coping strategies if you are from this community. Seek culturally competent therapy. Or if you're a therapist, seek supervision or consultation with a mental health professional like me, who is knowledgeable about and sensitive to the unique experiences and cultural backgrounds of BIPOC individuals. This can provide a safe and supportive space for healing. Therapy can assist individuals in processing trauma, developing coping strategies, and work through challenges related to CPTSD and high ACE scores. Self-care and resilience building. Prioritizing self-care practices such as regular exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep, and setting boundaries can help BIPOC individuals cultivate resilience and promote overall well-being. Practicing self-compassion, mindfulness, and self-acceptance are also essential components of healing and recovery. Community support groups. Participating in mental health support groups or peer-led initiatives tailored to BIPOC individuals can offer a sense of belonging, validation, and solidarity. Connecting with others who share similar experiences can provide mutual support, encouragement, and understanding. Holistic healing practices. Exploring holistic healing modalities such as traditional medicine, cultural rituals, and alternative therapies like acupuncture, herbal medicine, or chiropractic care can complement conventional treatment approaches and promote overall well-being. These practices often honor cultural traditions and can offer spiritual and emotional healing. Engaging in cultural and spiritual practices. Embracing our cultural and spiritual heritage, such as participating in religious ceremonies, cultural celebrations, or ancestral rituals, holds profound significance for BIPOC individuals. These traditions provide solace and direction and cultivate a deep sense of belonging and connection to our roots. Through immersing ourselves in these practices, we can draw strength from the resilience and wisdom of our ancestors. Furthermore, it's important to acknowledge the universal teachings of Jesus Christ, which offer compassion and insight across diverse cultures. Rather than solely adhering to specific interpretations prevalent in mainstream American Christianity, I encourage personal exploration of the Bible. This allows for uncovering the rich history and timeless truths that reveal the essence of Jesus Christ, aligning with one's own cultural background and spiritual journey. If this perspective raises questions or challenges, I invite reflection on why. Is it because of teachings received from others or personal engagement with the scriptures? Ultimately, being a Christian entails embodying Christ's teachings rather than engaging in debates or judgment. Many, including myself, have experienced church-related trauma and spiritual abuse, which merits discussion in a future episode. Creative expression. Engaging in creative outlets such as art, music, dance, writing, or storytelling can be powerful tools for self-expression and healing. These activities can provide a therapeutic outlet for processing emotions, exploring identity, and reclaiming agency over one's narrative. I have also held space for numerous humans in my office who could not speak, but could share their art, their spoken word, their rap songs, their dance, their music. Here is an example of one of my digital art and poems from my second poetry book called Anima Resuscitation, which is hopefully coming out this year. But before I read the poem, I would like to read the preface so you would have a better understanding of the why. In March 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic forced us all into lockdown, America erupted in protest following the murder of George Floyd by a white police officer. The resulting outrage was driven by a long history of racial injustices in the country, which had seen Black and brown people disproportionately affected and marginalized. As a brown Latina woman working as an LMHC in an alternative high school in Broward County, I bore witness to how these events impacted the young Black and brown individuals with whom I worked. Already struggling with lockdown in toxic homes and the mental health challenges this presented, my clients found their anxiety and depression considerably worsened by the steady drip of distressing news from the wider world. My own experiences of racism, which saw me jailed for one night in 1992, continue to haunt me. And when I saw how the world was responding to this new crisis, I knew I needed to find an outlet for my emotions. And so I turned to my digital art and poetry as a way of processing the tumultuous events of 2020, and the Oxygen collection is the result. This personal collection of work helped me to find a way of expressing my own experiences of racism and racial injustice, and offers a way for readers to explore their own feelings and engage in some of the difficult conversations that our society must confront if we hope to achieve lasting change. Be the oxygen. The statement that describes 2020, I can't breathe, rising up the fears of many, I can't breathe, bringing forth our secret thoughts, I can't breathe, as the world is being torn apart, I can't breathe, suicides rocked my community, I can't breathe, there is no political immunity, I can't breathe, pestilence that took over the world, I can't breathe, police brutality towards Black boys and girls, I can't breathe, Black lives do matter, I can't breathe, racism needs to be shattered, I can't breathe, wake up and look within, I can't breathe, please deal with your sin, I can't breathe, God is bringing to light the heart of each man, I can't breathe, waking up our souls so we can understand, I can't breathe, from pestilence to great injustices, I can't breathe, we need to deal with all the corruption. For those who say that all lives matter, yes, of course, but we're trying to shatter. Inequality started long ago, created an unfair status quo. So please stop being so defensive. Take off your privilege lenses. Take a deep breath because you can. Take a minute to understand. They can't breathe. We can't breathe. Be the oxygen for others. Take care of our brown and Black sisters and brothers. In closing, I like to share one of my favorite verses from the Bible, Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is no male and female. For you are all one in Christ Jesus. These words remind us of our unity as human beings, regardless of our backgrounds or circumstances. We are all equal in the eyes of God, and it's through this understanding that we can find true connection and healing. Let's not forget that we all have our struggles and imperfections, for we all fall short of the glory of God. But it's in recognizing our shared humanity that we can extend grace and compassion to one another. Oof, I'm going to say that over. I don't want to sound like a crybaby. Let's not forget that we all have our struggles and imperfections, for we all fall short of the glory of God. But it's in recognizing our shared humanity that we can extend grace and compassion to one another. Jesus came not to condemn the world, but to offer salvation and hope to all. As we continue to journey through life, let's strive to break the cycle of intergenerational trauma and build a future of healing and wholeness. Therapy isn't just about addressing mental illness. It's about embracing growth and becoming the best version of ourselves. So, let's lend a listening ear, support one another, and work towards creating a more compassionate and understanding world. After all, we're in this together. Thanks for listening. Until the next time, trust in the Lord, guard your heart, and renew your mind. Bye.